A school interpreter must be bilingual in both ASL and English, as they navigate two different language systems. Supporting a child's ASL development while also interpreting is a complicated task. In Boys Town National Research Hospital's EIPA Diagnostic Center states on their website, Classroom Interpreting, how it is such a complicated task, and it requires the interpreter to be at a high degree of ASL fluency. Oftentimes, deaf children come into the classroom settings with language delays because they don't have opportunities to engage with other children that are fluent in sign language. And most often, their parents are hearing. In fact, 85 to 90% of deaf children have hearing parents. Many times, deaf students must learn their language with an interpreter as their language model, and not necessarily having a native user as their model. It is important to note there are problems that can stem from this. There are interpreters that are not fluent in sign language, and that's unfortunate for the student because they are learning behaviors and language habits that will be hard to break later on. Not only that, concepts are misunderstood, distorted, and missing, and the student is lacking proper teaching methods in their education. This is one reason why, as a school interpreter, it is critical that your ASL fluency is at a high degree. If an interpreter merely interprets for a student without interaction, there is not enough benefit to learn the language. There must be more than just watching the language for the student to gain what they need in the process. They must engage in a two-way interaction of communication for language learning to be beneficial. So it's critical for the interpreter to have interactions with the students beyond just what they interpret. It is also crucial that a deaf student have adult deaf models in their life, as well as a skilled, fluent school interpreter signing with them in day-to-day conversations. Both is preferred, and it can appear in the child's life in different ways. Language modeling as a school interpreter may include introducing new signs to children, modeling responses or how one asks a question, helping them with a sign production area, such as a wrong hand shape or wrong placement in a sign. Language modeling includes scaffolding. For example, an interpreter or teacher provides necessary vocabulary, definitions, and background information to expand on previously learned concepts and clarify terminology. Students learn better with scaffolding. That's what scaffolding is. An interpreter may need to scaffold when a student doesn't have the language skills that are appropriate to others in the classroom. The interpreter may need to simplify the language and the vocabulary through scaffolding without changing the meaning and the context of the message. This is done by expanding on the vocabulary used and adding background information to what is being taught. For example, remember last week we learned about or providing that sign that provides a connection between a previous lesson and what is being taught currently. This is also done, of course, with the educational team's approval. The student needs to be challenged in their education without going above their comprehension level. Also, how we talk to children is not necessarily how we talk to adults. Adults, depending on the age of the children, they will often slow down their speaking, making it more clear and understandable, using more prosody in their speech. You learned about prosody in linguistics class. For example, they will stress specific words for importance and adjust their vocabulary as needed. Sign language is no different when adults sign to children. Signs may appear slightly larger or more deliberate, and at times a little bit more exaggerated to ensure the student understands the production. As a school interpreter, it's important to make sure your signing style replicates the teacher's style of speaking. It's been shown that this is a skill interpreters struggle with showing visually. This is why it is important to consider discourse analysis, as you do in your interpreting assignments in these courses, as a preparation tool. It is important that interpreters improve this modeling approach of interpreting. When a school interpreter reformulates and reduces unnecessary linguistic complexities, this is called language modifications.